So this is the project you're going to be working on next. With this project, you're going to learn about one-point perspective, you're going to learn about Zentangles, and you're also going to learn how to shade from one color into another one. So the first thing you're going to do to start this is put a little dot in the center with your Sharpie, just like that. You're then going to trace around Legos to have different shapes, squares and rectangles, and you have to have at least 15 traced. So we're going to pretend like I've traced around these 15, and just to give you an idea about how that works, you literally just hold the Lego down and trace around it. And I know that's getting marker on the Lego. Ooh, I just got some on my finger too, but that's okay. All right, so now we're gonna pretend like I've got my 15 shapes on there. And on this one, I actually do have 15 shapes. So your next step is going to be drawing lines from the corners to the dot, which is called a vanishing point, in the center. You'll want to start with the shapes that are closest to that dot. So in this case, that would be these 4 squares. So I'm going to take my ruler and line it up with the dot and the edge of that shape, and I'm just going to draw a line. And then I'm going to do it for my next shape that's closest to that center point. Again, I'm lining up the edge of that square with that dot, my lovely vanishing point. And we're going to do it with this one, I think, next. And each corner that it has, that is how you're going to line that up. So my first 2 shapes actually only had 2 sides that would work with the corners, but this one had 3. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this one because it's next closest. Each time, all I'm doing is lining up that vanishing point with the corner of the shape. Every single time. So I've got these so far, and I'm just going to continue moving. Now, what you might find is that some of these will start to overlap. And you'll have to stop the line that you're drawing from your corner to your vanishing point so that it doesn't go through another shape. That one I thought was going to do it, but it didn't. So let's see if this one does. It appears that this one will. So see how if I drew that line right along there, it would go through that shape. So I'm going to draw this, but I'm going to stop it so it doesn't go all the way through. And that's why you want to work from your center shapes out. Okay, so I would just keep going. Sometimes it helps just to even turn your paper back and forth. But I'm just going to keep going from those corners to that vanishing point. Now here's one where I'm going to end up drawing through that shape, so I don't want to do that. I want to stop right at that shape so it doesn't go all the way through. This is another one that's going to have that. And then right here, But each corner is going down to that vanishing point, but not through another shape. So down to the vanishing point, but you cannot go through any other shapes. So this one will have to stop way down here. It's not going to quite make it to that vanishing point. And we're just going to keep doing each shape, moving further out as we go. And the only reason I'm showing you every single one of these is just so that you have a better idea of how to do it on your own paper, because sometimes it gets kind of confusing. So again, here is one that would end up running through a shape, but I don't want to do that, so I'm stopping before it does that. You don't want your ruler to wiggle. Mine just about wiggled a little too much there. Down to these last few shapes. And I would put another piece of paper underneath this while you're using the Sharpie, or actually we have some little plastic mats that would work well too, and that's only so that the Sharpie will not bleed through to the table, and there will be less of a chance that you're going to mark on the table. Okay, so I've got one last shape to do here, and then we're going to start working on our shading. Because you've already done that Zentangle worksheet, I'm not going to worry about adding a bunch of Zentangles to show you on here, because you already know how to do the Zentangles, but you don't know how to do the shading. So here I've got this. So we're going to turn this now into something like this. So you are going to pick 2 colors for each of the shapes that are shooting down. And you are going to color one color down from the shape and one color up from the center point. So I'm going to do just a couple of these so you get the idea. So I'm going to start from my shape, and I'm going to color kind of hard and then get lighter. It's all about the amount of pressure that you use. So if you're pressing harder, your color is going to be darker, and that's what we want to start off with. So that's what I'm doing right here, pressing kind of hard. Now I'm not pressing quite as hard, and you can tell my color is getting lighter. Okay, I'm going to mix this one with apparently navy blue. So I'm going to color really hard with navy blue down here. It's going to get lighter as I go up. And then you're going to mix the two. So you're going to layer them right on top of each other. And you can kind of see right about here where it starts to mix together. So here this is with, oh, I'm sorry, actually I need to finish this. You got to do it on both sides. So really dark, gets lighter, and again I'm going to do that over here. You don't want to do anything to the tops because that's where you're putting your Zentangles. And then we've got that like that. So if you've got a shape that kind of overlaps with another one, you'll still do this. You just may have to do it up a little higher. So if we look at like this one right here, I'm still gonna start out with coloring really dark and heavy and then lighten up a little bit. But my transition to my other color is going to happen sooner than it did over here. I'm going to get pretty light right in here where they're overlapping, and then it's darker where it moves down. Once you get all this done with your colored pencils, and you want to try to use different combinations, so like I wouldn't want to use this one with the navy and the pink again. I would want to try and do something else. You know, maybe I use the navy and the orange, which by the way, since that's a complementary color, that would end up making kind of a brown where they overlap. But you get the idea. You want to use different colors, a different set for each one of your shapes. Then you're going to go back and you're going to add your Zentangles. Now we use this nice thick Sharpie for making our lines. For the Zentangles, we're actually going to use a much thinner Sharpie. And that's so that you have a little better control over what you're doing. So I'll just do a quick one on this guy right here. I'm just gonna do, and I'll tell you, on the one that I made, guys, it took me several hours to do the Zentangles. So this is not something that you should be able to get done in one day, the drawing and the Zentangles and the coloring. It's something that should take a while. You don't want it to be sloppy. You want it to be precise. You know, that's like my favorite word. But this is an example of a Zentangle you could do. You have Zentangles in the slideshow. You can Google Zentangles. You will have done your Zentangle worksheet as well. So you just want to keep all that in mind. So this was kind of the beginning of this, and this is the end result. You should have something that looks like this. Do I want you to copy my Zentangles? No, I do not. I want you to come up with your own. Good luck.